It can be difficult when you're young or at any age. You know that friend that you haven't necessarily been talking to because they're different than you or don't look like you? The very first way that everyone always tries to convince me is YTHX21, what is good? My name is Vince Parker, and I lead the youth ministry known as Switch, which is the youth ministry of Life Church. Our church and your church are great friends. And so thank you to Pastor Steven and Pastor Holly for having me. We're inspired by what you guys do. Pastor Tim, man, you know I got nothing but love for you. Thank you for how you inspire youth and youth ministers and youth pastors around the world. Elevation Youth, you guys are awesome. And so thank you for being here. And man, I'm excited for what I've been seeing in YTHX and can't wait to see what God continues to do. And what I want to do right now is go ahead and just dive right in to our scripture today, which is 1 Timothy 4:12. It says, don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. Now, I want to pause there and kind of give you the context of what's happening at this time. See, the author of Timothy is actually Paul. So you're probably thinking, then shouldn't have been called Paul. But no, Paul wrote several books of the New Testament. It's called Timothy because he's speaking to basically a young pastor named Timothy, and he's encouraging him because, well, Timothy's young and people are kind of looking down on him. And so the verse says, don't let anyone think less of you because you are young, but be an example to all believers in what you say and the way you live, in your love, your faith, and your purity. See, Paul's encouraging Timothy because I can get it. It can be difficult when you're young or at any age to go through things and people look down upon you. I know that exact feeling to have people look down upon you. Matter of fact, I honestly need to confess something to you guys. It's difficult. It's been something I've lived with for well over 10 years. People keep telling me about it and they say I need to do things about it and make an adjustment, and I just don't do it. But the truth is, I'm an Android guy. And yeah, I know you're judging me right now. I'm a green daughter. I don't understand how to make my life a better place. You can't trust me. You don't want to text me. Matter of fact, you're probably saying to yourself, Vince, I've got about 10 reasons why you should switch over to iPhone. And the truth is, I've heard it all. I mean, I know everything between iMessage and the ecosystem and FaceTime and the whole nine. But I thought to myself, well, all of us have a phone, whether it be an Android or an iPhone, that let's look at this verse differently. Let's look at it through the perspective of the conversations of that people have used throughout the years to try to convince me to get an iPhone. And so as we think about this verse, 1 Timothy 4:12, don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. Be an example to all believers in what you say and the way you live, in your love, your faith, and your purity. My hope and prayer today is after this message, that every time you pull your phone out, that you will remember this verse. Now, the very first way that everyone always tries to convince me is iMessage. Vince, you got to get iMessage. Like, is there a way you can get it? How can you make it happen? I can't trust you. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you can't trust me? Is it because, it means Apple has a really secure encrypted network that sends its messages back and forth, and if the message is in a green bubble, it means it's not secure? They're like, no, I don't even know what that means. I just mean, I don't get the 3 dots that lets you know that you're receiving my text, or I'm typing you back, or you're typing me back. I just can't trust you. Okay. Yeah, and by the way, you also mess up the group chat. Yeah, I've heard it all. I get it. It makes sense. But in truth, many of us treat the iPhone, Android debate how we treat other people in life. Yeah, you don't look like me. You don't come from the same neighborhood I come from. You don't play on the same sports team. You don't go to the same church I go to. I don't know if you have the exact same theology I have. When in truth, God has called us to love one another. Now, that's kind of difficult to do if you never hang out with people who look different than you. Imagine how hard it is to share your faith, to invite people to church if you never stop and take the time to notice all the other people in this world who are different than you. So let's do this right now. pull your phone out. Maybe you're on your phone watching this right now, and this is what I want you to do. You know that friend that you haven't necessarily been talking to because they're different than you or don't look like you? I want you to invite them to the rest of YTHX right now. Go ahead. No, I'll wait. Okay, we're back. Go ahead and invite them right now. And watch and see how God uses that to make a difference in their life. Because here's the thing I want you to know. Just because people are different doesn't mean they're unreachable. Now, I know you've probably never said the words, hey, they look different than me, then I won't talk to them. But it's how we show it in our actions. It's how we show it when you look around the people that you hang around. Do they all dress like you? Do they all look like you? Do they all talk like you? Or do you actually take the time out to invest in people and invest in sharing the good news and the gospel of Jesus Christ? The same good news that transformed your life forever, God wants to use you to transform the lives of other people. But you have to take the time to invest and reach out to them. Let's not let the fact that someone may not have the same phone as us, or the fact that someone may not look like us, act like us, or do what we do, stop us from reaching them for Jesus. Now, the second reason that people tell me that I should get an iPhone is it's all about the ecosystem. You know, you're like, the ecosystem, yeah. Hey, Vince, but can you take a picture on your phone and then like it's automatically on your laptop because of AirDrop, and then can you start a text message in one place and then finish it in another place? Can once you sync your AirPods, do they automatically sync to all your Apple devices? Well, no, because I don't own any AirPods and I own 0 Apple devices, but that's okay because I own lots of Jordans, so I think one washes out the other. But in truth, let me ask you about your personal ecosystem. Yeah. Tell me about the people that you surround yourself with. When you're going through a difficult time, is there someone there to lift you up and to encourage you? When things are going well in your life and you got that scholarship or you got accepted to that university, is somewhere in your life to celebrate with you? See, we weren't called to do life alone. We were called to do life together. And as followers of Christ, as believers, it's important that we make sure that we're being intentional about the time that we spend with one another. Now, I want to give you a few ways that you can build a healthy ecosystem of people around yourself. And the first one is this: get in a small group or an e-group. See, I know there's a link that you've been ignoring that helps you get plugged into an e-group that you need to go ahead and click on right now. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, you're good. And get signed up. Here's the deal. There's no time to wait when it comes to living and doing life with other people. See, for most of us, we think to ourselves, well, man, I think I'll be okay. Man, over this past 18 months, we've all seen how easy it is to find ourselves in a lonely place. And so whether you can gather in person or whether you can't, it's important that we take the time out of our busy lives, out of our busy schedules, pause, and find people to spend time with. It's important that we say, hey, you know what? I can't do this by myself. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to, one, find an e-group, find a small group, spend time with other people. Two, I want you to get a mentor. Now you're like, Vince, how do I get a mentor? Well, I just like Paul was Timothy's mentor, I want you to have a Paul in your life. Now, here's my suggestion to you. I want you to be very specific. I want you to right now think of an area in your life you want to grow in. Maybe you want to be a better big brother or a big sister. Maybe you want to throw a better football. Maybe you want to be better at reading your Bible. Whatever that is, I want you to think about it. And then I want you to think about who's specifically good at that thing you want to grow in. And now once you've done that, I just want you, next time you see them in person, if you plan on seeing them really soon, or send them a message and say, hey, I would love it if I could spend 30 minutes with you and ask you some questions about what you're doing. Now, I want to make sure that you're real honoring with this time and you stick to the 30 minutes. But at the end of it, what I want you to do is to say, hey, I'd love it if we can continue this conversation again. See, most of the times what we do is we find ourselves going, hey, will you mentor me? Which can feel really overwhelming. And there's no end day on commitment and specifically what do you want to be mentored in. But if you go in with a specific ask, a specific time, and then allow each conversation to continually grow, what you'll find yourself doing is being a lot more intentional, and not only how you personally grow, but being intentional with the time of the person who's actually mentoring you. So 1, get in a small group. 2, get a mentor, but be specific. And 3, remove some people from your life. But wait, Vince, you just said earlier on the whole iMessage thing that we're supposed to talk to people who don't look like us, who don't act like us, who are different, and so we can share the faith and share the gospel. Like, yes, we are. But it doesn't mean you're supposed to let them into your ecosystem. If you had an iPad that had a virus on it, I know Apple products don't get viruses, but you wouldn't introduce it to your ecosystem to corrupt your phone, to corrupt your Mac, to corrupt your AirPods. You wouldn't do that. See, my pastor says that we are the sum average of the people that we hang around. So if people were phone models and the best were iPhone 12 Pro Maxes and the worst were iPhone 1s, would you be more like an iPhone 3 or 4? Or would you be more like an iPhone 11 Pro Max? See, we want to make sure that we're being intentional about the relationships that we have. Now, what I don't want you to do is start sending a text right now or a DM that says, hey, this guy at YTHX just told me to stop hanging around you, so bye. No, we're not throwing shade like that. But what we can do is we can be intentional, and we can take the time and we can reach out to them and we can say, hey, I love you, but if you're going to continue down the path you're going down, I can't be this close to you. Because we can be an encouragement to them, but without tearing them down and making them feel bad. Because that's not our goal in life. Jesus says they will know us by the way we love. And just because we're not supposed to hang around them as much and let them in our inner circle doesn't mean that we have to be mean about it. So what do you do to build a great ecosystem? Again, 1, get in a small group. 2, get a mentor and be specific. And 3, remove the people from your life that shouldn't be there. Now, this last argument, I've heard it forever, and it's actually the one that kind of makes me chuckle and laugh the most, and it's this. Hey, it's all about the apps. I'm sorry, I have apps on my phone too. What do you mean? Well, the apps on iPhone are way better. And I'm saying, okay, so give me an example. And what they always do is they go to the App Store, and to which I reply, if these apps are so great and do so much amazing things, how come you don't have them on your phone? Well, Vince, I had it on my phone, but I really wasn't using it that much because it wasn't the app I need. But if I ever need it, it's in the App Store, I can go download it and use it again. For some of you, you probably haven't been reading your YouVersion Bible app, and you need to go ahead and break that out and start reading that again. The things I'm trying to tell you is this. God has given you gifts, talents, a purpose, an identity, and a calling on your life so that you can go out and make a difference in this world. See, I'm sure there's something for each and every one of us that as we are on our social media feeds, as we watch the news, as we hear stories from our friends, whether it be racial injustice, homelessness, hunger, people being mistreated, that bothers us, that breaks the heart of God. And God's placed you here to do something about it. But if you're like the people who try to convince me to get an iPhone because of the apps that they don't use, where you're just in the same boat. See, one of the things that Paul told Timothy is he says, don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. I don't want you to fall in that trap of thinking, well, I'm young, so there's nothing I can do. And when I get older, well, then I'll do something about it. Maybe when I graduate middle school or junior high or high school or college or get a job or get married or have kids or have grandkids. No, God's calling you that you can do something about the problems, about the things that bother you right now. Because God's giving you everything that you need. See, earlier we talked about how when you surround yourself with the right people. So that means now you're surrounded with the right people who can go charge this hill with you. But not if you just choose to sit there and do nothing. The thing that I love about this verse is that everything that Paul gives Timothy to do is actually an action, right? He says, be an example to all believers in what you say. See, just as I'm speaking to you now, that is an action. And the way you live. He didn't say just survive or just kind of lay there or kind of hopefully just stay alive with a heartbeat. He says in the way that you live, like in the things that you do on a daily basis, in the way that you interact with people, in the way that you communicate. He says in your love. See, we're not talking about just the love of Fortnite, the love of a pair of Jordans, the one love of getting a new pair of Yeezys. We're talking about love as an action. How do you treat the people that you interact with on a daily basis? Do you take them for granted, or do you see someone in need and do you do something about it? In your faith. Faith is an action. If you trust and believe what God has done for your life, then our response to that is to go out and love and care for people. And lastly, in purity. How are you controlling the thoughts, the things in your mind? How are you being intentional about that? See, the things that Paul is giving Timothy is actually actions to be done. And the truth is, like the apps in the app stores, until you download them and actively use them, well, it's just a waste. And it doesn't matter how great your phone is. It doesn't matter how great your phone operating system is. You can have a $1,500 phone, but if all you use to make phone calls, then it's not worth the $1,500 you pay for it. Ephesians 2:10 tells us that we are God's masterpiece. That's right. You are God's masterpiece. You are more valuable than any piece of technology, any fancy clothing, any car, anything that you value, because you are God's chosen, called and equipped. And he wants to use you to make a difference in this world. Here's the thing. What does it say in the verse again? Don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. I'm here to tell you today, don't let anyone think less of you because you're young. So I don't know if you have an Android phone, an Apple phone, but I hope you're reminded of this verse every time that you pull it out. That you'll be reminded, hey, there are those out there that need to know Jesus who may not look like me, but it's an opportunity for me to reach out and speak to them. That I hope you remember that, hey, that you surround yourselves in the right ecosystems of friends and family and people in your life who can help build you up and walk with you on this journey as you grow in your relationship with Jesus. And lastly, to be active in your faith. To not simply sit around and wait till you get older, but don't let anyone look down upon you because you are young. It's been my honor to hang out with you today. I love you. The rest of YTHX is going to be awesome. And thank you so much for all that you're doing. We'll see you later.
That was amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Hey, that came from our summer experience of YTHX21, 168 hours long. So there's a lot more to see.
That's right, so much more. You don't want to miss anything. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to get all that content.
We believe in the youth!
Very, very dangerous animals out there, but the animals I brought tonight